Hi there. Camera confidence. Where does it really come from? I've just sat down in front of this webcam, switched on the camera, and started recording with no idea about what I'm going to talk about other than the subject of camera confidence. So where does it come from? Is it simply practice, sitting in front of a camera and be able to talk into it? Which means, of course, you can actually talk into anything, whether it's a camera, whether it's towards a tree, whether it's towards a scene, or whether it's towards actual people. It really depends on how you can put your thoughts into words and project them outwards, as though you were speaking to another person. And it comes about, I think, well, simply by practice, but it also depends on a number of other things. If you're a really introverted person, find it hard to look someone else in the eye, so to speak, maybe that would show up when actually speaking into a camera. I don't know. But I suspect that how we come across on a camera has a lot to do with our personality, but even more than our personality, our real character. Are we able to speak from, we might say, universal principles? Or are we subject to exaggeration and lying? Does this show when we're speaking on a camera? Quite frankly, I don't know. We do know that there are confidence tricksters who can actually come up with a very plausible reason why you should, for example, invest with them, knowing that they're lying and they're still looking you straight in the eye as they do so. So what is it that makes a person really competent, persuasive, influential at connecting with an audience that they're not even seeing by simply looking into a camera? And as I said those words, I realized that there's a subtle amount of imagination. It's almost beyond consciousness, which is going on at the same time. So perhaps this is something that we develop. We imagine we're speaking to an audience and we're able to speak into a camera. Is this making any sense to you? Are you actually gaining anything from it? I guess the main thing I'm saying to you is this: practice makes perfect. That's what they say. And yet we can never reach perfection. So what we are actually doing when we're talking like this, I'm imagining that someone is listening, even though they might ever listen if I don't place it. Or if I do place it, very few people might listen to it anyway. But what I'm doing here is I'm being natural. Natural inflections of voice, the rise and fall, the pauses, everything which would take place in a normal conversation between two people. Or maybe not so, because in a conversation with two people, every now and again you would stop and listen. And when you were doing that, there would be pauses. I've said in other videos, a good way to practice presenting, whether it's to a live audience or to a camera, is to get a written piece, possibly a poem or a story out of a book, and then read it out as if you were reading it to someone else in the same room, listening to you as you presented it. This is a very good way to get rid of all the ums and ahs and filler words as you think of the next thing to say. Now, if you're really put on the spot, you're really under pressure in a live, say, interview, you will occasionally use the ums and ahs. but it won't be a habit. I've listened to people who every sentence ends with a yeah, as they think of what to say next. They're frightened of silence. Do not be afraid of silence between the thoughts. A sentence is a complete idea expressed. One idea, one thought. Full stop at the end. When the full stop comes, a nice long pause is required, or a short pause as the case may be. The other thing is speech pace. Pitch, pace, pause, all of these things come into it. Pace, vary the pace. And of course, vary the volume. Pitch, pace, pause, volume. If you want to speak up loud, get away from the microphone, and then you can talk into it quite loudly. If you want to whisper, you come in close and say, listen, this is very important. Very important. Say something like that and pause after it, and you'll immediately grab people's attention. So vocal variety can be practiced, and one of the ways I've said is to practice that by reading out loud. Do it every day, maybe for 10 minutes, until it becomes a habit. Once it is instilled into your subconscious mind, you will find that those ums and ahs and filler words, and you know what I'm talking about, they will fall away. They will be left behind. I know this because I've been speaking to audiences for many years now, and I'm in Toastmaster clubs where things like filler words are picked up in your evaluation. And it's very rare indeed now that someone says you used a filler word, Tom, or an extra word. Sometimes I use the word so as a starting word for a sentence, and they say, well, you shouldn't do that, that's a filler word. And I guess it is. So, what am I saying to you now? I didn't have to say that. I could have just said, what am I saying to you now? So drop these filler words. But for someone who started off talking in this particular video with nothing particular in mind to say to you, I think I've done pretty well. I've gone for the so-called minimum 8 minutes. So I hope you got something out of this one. Camera confidence. Practice, practice, practice. You'll never be perfect, but you will be well on the way to perfection if you keep doing it.